Begin the experience. Pull the back trigger on your controller to start. When Michael Collins, pilot of the Apollo 11 spaceflight, returned to Earth after seeing it from above, he described his home planet as follows. The thing that really surprised me was that it projected an air of fragility. And why? I don't know. I don't know to this day. I had a feeling it's tiny, it's shiny, it's beautiful, it's home, and it's fragile. What Michael Collins was trying to explain is what is often referred to as the overview effect, a phenomenon one encounters when faced with a bird's eye view of the planet, which inspires a feeling of a deeper connection and appreciation for this precious place we call home. Do you see it? That's your planet. Of all the 100 billion spinning dots that make up our galaxy, this one belongs to you. Of all the relationships you have in your life, none could be more rich or enlivening than this. It raised you. It gave you the oxygen to take your first tentative breaths, and it will greatly receive the carbon dioxide from your last gasps. Take it in. It's yours after all. Come a little closer. Give it a spin. Can you find where you call home? Maybe you have many places that feel like that. Maybe you've moved across this globe multiple times and seen all kinds of life. But the truth of it is, you could spend your whole life travelling the entire face of it. You could walk across vast stretches of desert or mountain, or you could even sink to the deepest depth of the ocean. But you will still be in the same place, here, on your planet, because this is your home. It's all yours, and you are responsible for it. In fact, right now, it needs you more than ever. Can you see the little spots popping up on the surface? These are places uniquely affected by the issues the Earth is currently facing. Let's get a closer look at one of them. This is Kingston upon Hull, a port city in the north of the United Kingdom, bordering both the rivers Hull and Humber. It is a hub of industry and a vital trade link, handling approximately 10 million tonnes of cargo, amounting to £12 million every year. It's a charming city, once devastated by war, that was rebuilt from the ashes into what you see today. It was the UK City of Culture for 2017, and is home to around 260,000 people. And right in the middle of it stands a building made from some of the finest medieval brickwork in the country, the Hull Minster. It dates back to the 1300s, a true testament to the resilience of this place. During the Second World War, many of those windows were shattered in the air raids, but they just picked the shards up and turned them into a mosaic window, which is still there today. That's the spirit of this town in a nutshell, turning that devastation into something beautiful, unbroken, a shining beacon of hope for all to see. It might be 2022, but this place is under threat once again. But not from violence or war. The risk is greater than that. Climate change is affecting the entire planet, and the people of Hull have been seeing the warning signs for a while now. At this time, Kingston upon Hull faces the second biggest flood risk outside of London. It has been living with water since the 1600s, and therefore its population is acutely aware of the impacts the changing climate has on their lives. Most recently, the area endured intense surface water flooding in 2007 because of an exceptional rainfall which damaged over 10,000 properties. This is because the land upon which it stands is low-lying below sea level and therefore exposed to powerful storm surges which put increasing pressure on the land surrounding the River Humber. Since 2007, over £260 million has been spent on flood mitigation schemes, including a recent £23 million investment to make the pavements of affected areas permeable to improve water flow. But even with these measures, the floods are still coming. Our actions over the coming decades will fundamentally determine the fate of this area. So let's see what the future could look like. Like Michael Collins said, this place is fragile. There is currently a 1 in 4 chance that under current policies and worldwide emissions, we will experience 3 degrees of global warming by the end of this century. At this point in time, we are currently in overshooting, using the renewable resources of 1.75 Earths every year. We can already see the visible effects this climate change is having on our world. Now more than ever, as we turn our attention to 60 years down the line to 2080, watch how the surface of our world changes. You can see the Earth is getting hotter, rainfall patterns are changing and sea levels continue to rise. It is these very noticeable consequences which are increasing the frequency and risk of extreme weather events such as heat waves, droughts, fires and floods. The question is, what could Hull look like in the worst case scenario? Let's go back and see the difference a few decades could make. It hurts to see it like this, all gone, washed away. The life, the spirit. It got so bad that everyone had to leave, shut up shop, abandon their homes and their livelihoods. For the better part of this century, they tried to stand their ground. They improved flood defences, they educated the population on how to protect their homes, and they managed the risks, but when the ground beneath them turned into a river, they had to move on. During the Blitz, 95% of the buildings in Hull were destroyed. 150,000 people were displaced, their homes bombed, devastated. But they rebuilt, they returned. They were able to make it their home again. But they can't return to this. Their home is gone now. Between 2080 and 2100, the people of Hull are facing a potential 1.2 metre level of flooding due to tidal events. Within the St Andrews and Docklands ward alone, which encompasses the Hull Minster, there is a population of 16,000 people, making up around 7,000 households. In this scenario, the community may have no choice but to leave their homes. Nevertheless, you still have a choice, now, to do something. It's not about waiting for the flood and moving on. It's about taking action now to protect the place you call home before it gets to that stage. Even if we collectively stopped all emissions today, we would not be able to prevent some of these changes. However, the sooner we do, the more we can reduce the impacts. It is becoming abundantly clear that we must lower our emissions, or this tide of climate impacts will keep rising and crashing around us. Once these floods come to our communities, the results can be almost impossible to come back from. If we continue at this rate, our world could be unrecognisable within this century. We have a narrow window to take decisive steps to maintain the livability of our planet. This requires immediate action to slash emissions, build resilience, conserve ecosystems, and push for measures to deal with the potential damage. Our home is fragile, but it doesn't have to be. When you first hear all this, it sounds quite daunting. These events and figures can be alienating, removing you from the lived reality that this is happening to you. But there is an alternative future. Those pleasant days don't have to end. There is a beauty and a connection to be found in the precarious situation we find ourselves in. Efforts are being made on the ground to prepare for this future, but more can always be done. It won't be easy. We will need to put pressure on existing power structures to stand with us, to make them see that our planet needs them, needs all of us to stand together and protect this precious place we call home. But where there is action, there is hope. It is time for you to take responsibility, to give back to the place that gave you life. Please, it needs you now more than ever. Welcome to Home Planet. In Zone 3, we explore the ramifications of climate change through virtual reality. To begin the experience, pull the back trigger on your controller to start.